Heart and Home presents an original audio story by Sara-Grace Daile and read by Sara-Grace Daile. The Crab Who Longed for the Ocean. A little crab woke up one day. His red shell beamed in the sunshine. He lifted his bobbly eyes to the sky and smiled a happy hello to the sun. "My name is Coconut, Coconut the Crab," he exclaimed as the sun glittered like gold and seemed to smile back at him. Coconut tapped his feet. Tap, tap, tap. He clinked his claws. Clink, clink, clink. He scratched his legs across the big rock. Coconut danced and sang a happy, crabby song. "Oh, what a bright white sight is the sun's white bright light, and the sand swoosh, swish, swooshes as the wind whoosh, wish, whooshes. All I see is a beautiful bright white sight. But something does not feel quite right." Coconut's smile turned upside down and hung on his shell with a sad sag. His bright eyes clouded, his red shell darkened, his legs stopped dancing, and his heart stopped singing. The crab looked up. The crab looked down. He even spun around and around. But Coconut could not find what was missing. The crab felt a sad, empty feeling deep inside. Coconut felt a longing for something, but he did not know what it was that he longed for in the first place. So the crab hopped up on all his back legs and went tap, tap, tap across the rock. His two front claws went snip, clip, snip, clip, snip as he climbed down to the ground. Coconut's hard shell swooshed and swished through the hot sand. He was going to go find out what was missing. By and by, Coconut turned a sandy bend and came face to face with a sneaky snake. Coconut gasped. The sneaky snake hissed. "Oh, what a shiny green snake you are!" Coconut shuddered. "You are coiled so cleverly, and I think you must be very smart." The sneaky snake hissed again into Coconut's face. "Please, shiny green snake, I feel such a longing in my heart. I know something is missing. Do you happen to know what it is?" The snake's beady black eyes snapped like sparks. "Oh, yes," it hissed. "You are missing so much. But I know what you should do." The sneaky snake paused as its beady eyes stared down at the crab. "Deeper, deeper into the desert. That is the perfect place for you. Go, 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 little crab, deeper into the desert and see if you can't find what your heart desires." Coconut listened to the snake. Coconut looked where the snake pointed its pointy green tail. He thought he might even see something lovely and wavy dissolving and flashing on the horizon. Coconut wanted it, whatever it was, and maybe his little crabby heart would finally be happy. Swoosh, swish, swoosh. Coconut's hard shell whooshed across the steamy sand. His mouth felt dry. His eyes burned from the glaring sun. His legs trembled as he skittered deeper into the desert. By and by, Coconut came to a place scattered with yellow, brown, and green cactus, all prickly and pokey and spiny. On top of the tallest cactus sat a cheery bird singing and whistling a merry tune. "Oh, cheery bird, Coconut called out above the melody. "I've been walking oh so far and wide looking for what I'm missing, for my heart is filled with longing for something, but I do not know what it is. The sneaky snake told me to go, 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 deeper and deeper into the desert, and I would find it, but I'm still looking. Do you know what I am missing?" "Oh, yes, yes, yes," twittered the bird. "Sing, sing, sing. Don't think about what is missing. What a waste, waste, waste that would be. Just sing of what you have. The cheery bird hopped from one foot to the other. Sing of cactus spines and shimmering sand. Sing of sunsets and hot sizzling days. Oh, sing of it all. Just do not think at all about what is missing. And with that, the cheery bird flew away in a flurry of feathers and tweets and tweedledees. Coconut sat down in the sand. He tried to sing. He tried to be happy. He tried to only see what he had. The hot, beating sun, the blinding, shimmering sand, the prickly, poky cactus, and the glowing red shell in his back. All of those things were nice, indeed, but something was missing. So the crab picked himself back up on all of his back legs, and he swooshed, and he swished, and he skittered deeper and deeper into the desert. By and by, the bright sky darkened with shadowy clouds, and Coconut could not see the sun glistening down on him. He flip-flopped to the ground as he bumped against a hard-looking rock. It was no rock at all, though, because a bald gray head poked out of the front, and 1, 2, 3, 4 webbed feet poked out the bottom, and 1 flippy-floppy tail poked out the back. Coconut realized that it was a turtle, and a rather glum-looking turtle, all gray and wrinkly. Oh, glum turtle! The crab noticed the turtle turn his head and open his eyes wide and round at the sound of his voice. I have been walking oh so far and wide looking for what I'm missing, but I can't find it, and I don't even know what I'm looking for. I have such a longing in my heart. The sneaky snake told me to go, go, go deeper into the desert. And the cheery bird told me to sing, sing, sing of what I have. But what do you think? The glum turtle blinked and he winked. He hoed and he hummed. No good, no good, he murmured. The answer is not to go or to sing. No, no, no. You need to grump, grump, grump about it all. I am always so happy when I grump. It is a true pleasure indeed. Just look around you, little crab. Don't you see all the things you could grump about? The crab nodded as he gazed around. Indeed you do. Why, look at all the clouds, just ugly smudges in the sky, and the sand whips up in the wind in such a dreadful way. Why, I have sand in my eyelids and between my toes. I have sand in my shell and up my nose. Yes, just grump about it all, and you will soon forget that you were missing anything at all. Like a flash, the turtle popped back into his shell and once again looked like a rock. Coconut sighed and moaned. He certainly had a lot to grump about. Maybe the turtle was right, but Coconut decided he could grump and still keep looking for what was missing. So Coconut scooted and crawled past the turtle. He swooshed and swished across the sand as he walked deeper and deeper into the desert. Coconut's legs grew heavy and weary from every new sandy step. He lay down flat on the ground and watched a line of busy ants march down a path of their own. Oh, please, busy ants, please tell me what I'm missing. The sneaky snake told me I need to go, go, go. The cheery bird told me to sing, sing, sing. And the glum turtle told me to grump, grump, grump. What do you say? Most of the ants were too busy to stop, but one small ant stopped for one short moment. What silly solutions! Little crab, you need to do. That will fill up all your longings and you will be wise and hard-working too. Yes, just get busy doing, and all will be very well indeed. And the ant marched away, leaving the crab even flatter and lower than before. Coconut wondered what he should be busy doing. He thought and thought, but his crabby brain was empty, and his crabby heart still longed for what was missing. Coconut dragged his back legs across the gritty sand. Squish, squash, squish. Coconut plopped along until he came to a strange sight. A book lying in the sand with a tender green tree growing out of it. It seemed like a very odd thing to just happen upon in the desert. Coconut inched closer. He tiptoed on his red crabby legs to see the book with the tree. He looked at the pages and gently pushed it open to the beginning. The pictures in the book glowed with vibrant colors. Coconut did not know how to read, but he loved gazing at the scenes in front of him. A lovely garden filled with all sorts of animals sprawled across the pages. Birds soared in the blue sky. Monkeys hung in the tree branches. Flowers grew up alongside a sparkling blue path. The crab was not sure what the blue path was, for he had never seen a blue road before. The picture seemed to come to life before his little crabby eyes. The white foamy spray lapped at the grassy bank where a deer stood with its mouth lowered into the blue path. The crab noticed strange, slippery-looking creatures inside the blue road. Then, wonder of wonders, when Coconut spied a whole family of little red crabs sparkling in the sunshine beside the blue road. The smallest crab seemed to have jumped into it with a happy smile on his face. Maybe this was the answer to all of Coconut's problems. Maybe he needed to find the blue road, and then he would find happiness and all that he was missing. So Coconut set one leg in front of the other, and with a shuffle and a scooch and a weary swoosh, he made his way deeper and deeper into the desert in search of the blue road. By and by, Coconut came to a hollowed-out tree with a round hole in the middle, where a sleepy-looking owl sat with one eye open and one eye shut. The crab paused for a moment as he tried to decide if the wise-looking owl was awake or asleep, but finally he agreed that it did not matter, for at least one of the owl's eyes was awake. "Wise owl, it is I, Coconut the crab. I have been walking oh so far into this desert, searching and searching for what I am missing. I am dreadfully tired and worn out, but I must find it. The sneaky snake told me to go, go, go. The cheery bird told me to sing, sing, sing. The glum turtle told me to grump, grump, grump. And the busy ant told me to do, do, do. But a little way back I came across an old book with a young tree growing out of it, and I saw a picture of a lovely blue road in it. I think that is what I am missing. Wise owl, do you know where to find the blue road?" The owl yawned and stretched its neck. Who do those silly creatures think they are? They know nothing at all indeed, and that old book with the tree is quite simply just that, an old book with a tree, lost and forgotten in the desert. No, 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 the answer, my good crab, is certainly not any of those silly notions. And who ever heard of a blue road? The real secret is to know as much as you can. Why, that is what I spend my days and nights doing as I pore over all the books inside my hollow tree. You should stay here with me, and I am sure you will fill up all your longings." The owl yawned again and sunk his face down beneath his neck feathers. Coconut sighed, and then he puffed a frustrated huff of air out of his red shell. Whatever was he to do? He wondered to himself. Maybe the owl was right. Maybe he should stop searching the desert for what he was missing and stop searching for the silly blue road, and instead content himself with all the things he could know from the books in the hollow tree. Coconut did not have long to think about that plan, though, for in an instant the sky turned dark and angry. Raindrops poured down from the clouds in torrents. The crab gasped in fear as the wet pattering swiftly turned into a raging flood, spilling over the sand and carrying him away with it. Coconut's heart raced with fear, but for a moment he thought that this brown raging current looked very similar to the beautiful blue road that he had seen in the book with the living tree growing out of it. Maybe this flowing road was ugly and brown and fierce, but it still reminded the crab of what he had seen in the book that had been dazzling and blue and gentle. The crab could do nothing but be carried away by the storm deeper and deeper into the desert. When the rain had stopped pouring and the brown angry road had stopped rushing and Coconut lay flat and wet in the muddy sand, a gentle breeze floated across the desert and dried the crab's smudged shell. Coconut opened his eyes and blinked. He clawed at the wet sand with his claws as he dragged himself across the ground. He slunk and crept and tiptoed to a pile of rocks. He sat down next to them and started to cry big, crabby tears. He knew he would never find what he was missing all by himself. He would never be able to find the blue road. No, Coconut would be stuck in this terrible desert forever. Suddenly, a quiet voice startled the crab. Coconut spun around and found himself looking up into a kind face. The kind face with the quiet voice belonged to a man with a brown beard and a worn, wet robe. The man stretched out his hand to the crab. "Come to me, little crab." The man patiently waited for the crab to step into his calloused hand. "Come, and I will take you to where you belong, to the place you were made for." Coconut felt a deep hope rise in his little crabby heart. He skittered and stepped across the wet sand. He looked up into the man's smiling eyes. Then Coconut tiptoed up the man's fingers and sat down in the palm of his hand. There now. The man stepped across the sand and made his way through the desert. Now Coconut sat quietly in the man's hand as the miles of desert passed with each step the man took. The man walked through the wet, muddy sand. Each splashy step splattered his robe and feet, but the crab sat safe and clean in the man's hand. The man climbed up steep rocks and slid down rocky hills. The jagged rocks tore his robe and bruised his legs, but the crab watched it all safe and protected in the man's hand. The man stepped through the thick thorn bushes. The thorns pierced the man's feet, but the crab rested safe and secure in the man's hand. The journey seemed oh so long as Coconut watched the man step through the desert. Sometimes Coconut would try to sing like the cheery bird, and sometimes he would grump like the glum turtle. When Coconut felt bored and tired of the long miles stretching out endlessly, he would try to find things to do, like the busy ant. Then sometimes the crab would just sit quietly in the man's hand and try to know all that he could by watching the man and the scenery passing by him, like the wise owl. Whatever Coconut did, it did not matter anymore, because the man with the kind eyes was carrying him to where he belonged. After what seemed to Coconut like a really long time, he suddenly realized that he heard a sound he had never heard before. The sound reminded him of the wind rushing through the desert, but somehow it filled him with a pleasing ache deep in his heart. Somehow he just knew that he was almost home. The ache filled up Coconut's little heart till every beat of his heart throbbed with longing for whatever that sound was, whatever that wonderful place was that lay just beyond the kind man's hands. Every step the man took, Coconut became more and more convinced that he had found the place that his heart so deeply longed for, and only a few more steps and he would see with his eyes what he knew in his heart. Coconut also heard voices. He peeked through the man's fingers and he noticed work-worn men dressed in drab, wet tunics, hauling lines and nets out of a deliciously blue road. Coconut pressed against the man's hand, now trying to find a place to squeeze through so he could reach that blue road. Finally, after all his troubles, after all the advice, after all his striving, Coconut made it to the place his heart had longed for, because the man with the kind face carried him every step of the way out of the desert and brought him home to this wondrous blue place where he belonged. The man stopped walking. He bent down and stretched out his hand, and Coconut eagerly brushed his smooth shell down the man's fingers. Swish, swoosh, swish! Coconut felt the warm sand under his shell, saw the blue foam in front of him, and his little legs skittered quickly toward the rolling foam with joyous steps. The little crab gasped as the blue water swirled around him, pushing him up the sand for a moment. Coconut smiled a wide, crabby smile as he stood back up and dived into the blue, whirling wave. Right before he went underneath the water, Coconut heard the kind man talking to the men working on the lines and nets beside their boat. The man's rich voice filled Coconut's senses with delight as he heard him say, "Come, follow me." Coconut felt the cool, wet water twirl around him as he swam, and felt the ache of his heart transform into a deep well of joy. Before he dove deeper into the water, he thought happily to himself, "I wonder where he is leading them." The end.